Shalom, shalom. This is part 2 of the 144,000 in the book of Revelation found in the Towrah. Again, ask you a question. If Yahushua is the Towrah, he was the Towrah who was made flesh, why wouldn't the 144,000 be found in the Towrah? Now this is just going to be a preliminary way of just laying a foundation to, I'm a seed planter. Now, with my calling, I plant the seeds and someone else waters it. Okay? Notice the Father just provokes interesting perspectives and deep things in the Word that I just present, and it just goes on and has to build on its own. You know, I'm not technically, I don't consider myself a teacher. Let's get back, again, I want to remind you, please watch part 1. Keep these in the series. There's part 1 of the 144,000 are found in the Towrah. And it's still speculative. I'm still working through this, but since I was doing so much study through Sukkot, the times of the dwelling in the booths through the Towrah, I mean, this stuff is starting to amaze me. And I'm not going to go through all the prophetic numbers of what they mean. But on part 1, I just finished up with the menorah as far as the 7 flames are the 7-day uncontested by the moon week. It's a spirit. The 7-day week is a Ruach, spirit breath. That's why it's only the flames on top of the menorah that gives the light. The true light is Yahushua from heaven. The natural light of the sun, moon, and stars is dung. Of course, it sets our feasts, okay? Don't get me wrong. But the true light comes from heaven, and that's where the 7-day week, it came from heaven. The Father put the nucleus of the week together, bringing it from heaven and making a third-dimensional creation. And that's why I've always said that people who moon Sabbath are absolutely cutting themselves off from the light of truth. There's no way that's ever going to mathematically work out. It can't. There's nothing in Scripture to testify to it. It's just not there. It's just intellectually stimulating, and that inflates the pride. That's why the Leviathan of pride is so powerful in them. It binds them down. There's nothing can enter that shroud of pride. Again, that's not my point. Again, the Sukkah, the wilderness, wandering Sukkah, the dwelling place of the wilderness is what we're focusing on. Okay, if we add up the buds, as I said before, there is a knob that they call the King James a knob or a almond nut and a blossom periodically without the menorah. So if you add them both up separately, it's 36 plus the 8 that is on the center stem. It's a 44 total on those. Okay? But if you just add them up as a pair, it's 29 nuts and blossoms on the menorah. And if you add in the base, as I said before, it could be 30. And that's speaking volumes to me. It could be meaning in either, or it could be a 29 or a 30-day month. Because there has to be a wide pedestal base at the bottom to keep it from toppling over. Now, some of the pagan pictures, they have 4 little legs coming out, but that's nowhere in Scripture. Okay, so don't go by what Judaism and all of their mythology teaches you. Okay, the menorah, the 7 stems are the 7th-day Sabbath. This is the 4th day of the week, because the menorah is the furniture on the 4th day. As I've been teaching for years, or a long time now, that the 7 furnitures in the Heka of meeting Yahushua, every one represents the 7 ruachs of Yahu, of wisdom, understanding, counsel, power, knowledge, and awe, and Shabbat, the spirit of Yahuwah. And the 7 pieces of furniture teach and give us pictures of that. Now this gets interesting. We could be getting into the sabbatical years, the jubilees, the yobels. Okay, there's 10 curtains. 10 is perfection. The wrapping it. 10 curtains. Now these are the wall curtains, okay? Not the fence yet. We're not to the fence. 10 curtains with woven, stitched in there with the macrame cherubim. And I won't get into that. We'll see how much time we have. Okay, there's 10 curtains in the wilderness temple. And they're 28 cubits long, okay, and 4 cubits wide. And then, so it's 10, we're dealing with numbers here, and there's 144,000, and if we can find somebody who knows how to break down every aspect to put the numbers together, and if it doesn't add up, remember, all the Hebrew characters are numbers. I repeat, all the Hebrew characters are numbers. So they're 28 long and 4 wide. So we have 56 and 8. So there's a number 56 and 8, or 28, which is the length of a... okay, there's 50 loops, or tabs sewn into them, you know. So it's 10, for 10 curtains, there's 500 loops. And there's 50 hooks that hook into the loops that they use, and again, it's 10 and 500. So we have prophetic numbers of 10, again, 144,000 adding up, and if every one of these numbers has a Hebrew character that defines a number, this is starting to make sense to me, and this would open up so much as far as the gifts of the body and the skills. Every one of these pieces represents a different aspect of how he's building his body and his bride together to tend to mankind in the future. Now, the 11 roof curtains, okay? There's 11 curtains. Now, they're 11 now. That's a negative and a positive number. Okay, they're 30 cubits long and 4 cubits wide. So 30, again, running around the perimeter, 30 times 2 is 60 for each curtain, and 4 times 2 is 8, so that's 68 times 11, or 68 alone, or 11 alone, or 11 times 11, you see? So we have all these numbers that I wanted to just lay out here, and there's 50 loops again, they didn't alter the loops, and that's 11, so it's 550, and 50 hooks at 11, again, is 550. Okay, the boards. Again, 144,000. And this is Shemoth, or Exodus 26:15, where the boards begin. 26:15. There are 10 boards. This is per wall. There are 10 boards. Each board is 1.5 thick. Okay? So we have 10 boards. And let's see here, my notes are a little messy. Times 2 is 20. So we have the south side 20 boards, the north side 20 boards, the 6 boards on the west side, and yet we have to add back to the 2 corner boards in the back. Because the reason there are 6 boards on the west side, and we have to the east side, we're getting to the bars now. The bars are like the rafters that run across the top of the house, okay? There's 5, 5, and 5, and 1 middle bar that holds it all together, okay? So that makes the tent, basically, the roof pitch. Okay, the covering for the door, again, all the 5s are favored. All through the scripture, 5 is favored. So the covering of the door, remember, see, I am the door, I am the entry. No one can come to me except, or no to the Father except through me. The door is 5 cubits, and it's 5 sockets. There's 1 veil. Okay, there's 1 veil. The bronze altar is very interesting. 32 is the Hebrew pictographic thing of the teeth, the rugged teeth. There's 32 teeth in the human body, and that's adding up to 32. The Hebrew, or the bronze altar, is 32, because it's 5 times 5, which is 20, times 2, and then 3 plus 4 is the height and the width is 32 total. And there's 4 horns upon it too. Now the fence, this is the fence as far as guarding the Torah. We guard the Torah. You know, so we're going to be peoples in the body of the Mashiach who are going to be the stewards of the Torah. They're going to fight for the flock. They will not be led aside and deceived. So that could be people who are dealing with the fence. This is Exodus 27, Shemoth 27. Okay, the fence on the courtyard is 100 cubits long. These are all mathematical equations we're trying to go through. I'm just giving you a quick review. Okay, for the south side is 100 long, with 20 posts and 20 sockets. This is just on the south side. Okay, and now on the west side, that's the narrow one, the back of it, it's 50, and that's 10 posts and 10 sockets. And 50 on the east side, that's where the gate is. 50 long, but yet the allowance for the gate, it's going to be 15 cubits on one side or 15 on the one side and 15 on the other to allow the wide gate. You see there's a wide gate and a narrow gate. The narrow gate's only 5. And the wide gate is 15, 30, 20 wide. You see the wide gate that leads to destruction? You can come into the court and not be saved. So you see the prophetic picture here? Okay, each of the 15 on each side of the court gate is 3 columns and 3 sockets. 3 columns and 3 sockets. So the gate is 20. Again, I'm talking about all these numbers are building up and adding up to 144,000. That's Yahusha is the living Torah, and he is the Hekel. He is the Emmanuel. When the parents were commanded to proclaim that Elohim is dwelling among us, proclaim it. He dwells among us. Yahusha. He is Yahuwah, our salvation, as the angel said. So the total dimension of the courtyard all the way around is 520 cubits. Again, this is very elementary. Okay, I was just in prayer time, and we're heading to the altar of incense now. Okay, and this is interesting. This is the incense altar that takes the fire from the bronze altar for the heat and puts the incense on this table to go into the mercy seat once every year. And yet still done every day. There's incense offered every day. Okay, the altar of incense, but it doesn't go into the kadosh, most kadosh. This is Exodus 31 through 10. The altar of incense, again, is 10 cubits, perfection, the 10 commandments. 1 times 4, and 2 times 4 is 10. Because it's a cubit long and cubit wide, or cubit long, cubit high. Yeah, and it's 2 cubits high, tall, by 2 cubits, and that equals 10. And it has 4 horns on it, so another mathematical factoring into the 4. Now this is interesting. If someone can correct me on this, this would be great. Okay, the bronze, the mirrored laver, which is the mirror that Shaul talked about, okay? The mirrored laver. It doesn't have dimensions. I couldn't find dimensions on it, so if anybody can help me with that. Now in Shlomo's temple there is. So the bronze mirrored laver, there's no dimension, just 1, and there's a mention to stand, 1. I haven't figured that out yet, so we're still working on it. Now the bread, as I talked about before, I'm listing the bread separately. There's 12 loaves, and yet the 12 loaves are stacked 6 and then 6. Okay? Now the veil was used as a cover. This is interesting. In Numbers, or Bamidbar 4 verse 6, the veil of the Kadosh Mos Kodesh, the narrow gate, the veil, the 5 cubit wide one, it was used as a covering for the ark when the tabernacle was disassembled. That sort of spoke to me when it was in transport and disassembled. They laid that on it first. The veil laid upon the ark. Wow. So this is where we're at. I just wanted to plant this seed. If anyone can help, I'd appreciate it. The 144,000. Why wouldn't, if he is the living Torah, why wouldn't it be in the Torah? It's just, I'm stimulated by it now. I mean, the Ruach is moving in me in a way, and maybe we have to come together collectively as a body that, like I said, I'm not a math head. You know, that's not my gift, but there's enough here. I've gone through the Shlomo's temple so many times that it could be a combination of them both, the Torah and the Tanakh. Remember Yahusha's revelation on the mount for Sukkah? Remember Moshe and Eliyahu appeared to him, and all of a sudden, poof, they were both gone, and he was the only one. He said, you cannot ascend on high. You cannot attain this transformed life without the Torah and the writings. Because the Eliyahu was just a picture of just the prophets or the writings. So it could be both temples that have to be added up. I don't know. But remember, as we're just about done here, but remember with the Hebrew characters, each character, when you go into the Hebrew, every time one of the Hebrew words lists like 10 cubits, or 2 cubits, 4 cubits, whatever the case would be, there's 1 or 2 or 3 letters in Hebrew there. And each one has a number assigned to it. So that could be the 144,000. Like I said, this is beyond me right now. But I just wanted to plant the seed. If Yahusha is in the Torah, or if he is the Torah, why wouldn't the 144,000 teach us in the Torah, because it's definitely prophetic as far as the different aspects of the body of Messiah. Just something to think about. Shalom, shalom.